we live on your end, Leah?
Yep. It
We're
says
live?
stream will be starting soon.
Alright. Let's transition over.
Alright, are we live? It says stream will be starting soon.
There we go.
And I can hear our voices. Oh, there we go. Alright, here we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Everyone. Welcome to the 22nd episode of Got a Spotlight with Liaserenityrose. I'm your host, Leah. And of course, unfortunately, Naze couldn't make it, even though he's supposed to be my co-host. So Chris will be taking Naze's place as my co-host for this Q&A with, of course, Jsaking.
Hello there. Thank you for pronouncing my name right.
Oh, I'm glad I pronounced it right. All right.
Happy to be here.
All right, let's get started. So here is my first question for you, Jsaking. How did you get into voice acting? How did you become interested in voice acting, and what inspired you to pursue this?
Okay, so right away, heavy hitters. Okay, so in terms of being a performer of some sorts, it's always been there. I think, oddly enough, my sister was the one who was supposed to be the performer of the family because she was always doing modeling when she was younger, and she was doing all sorts of pageants and whatnot. And I was just sitting in the corner playing on my DS. Then we went to an acting school in my town, and the actress so happened to be Emily Bauer, who, if you're a Pokemon fan, she does the voice of Dawn and Cynthia in the Pokemon anime. And I was like, holy moly, this is something people do. And then I'm like, the idea was planted, and it was, I think my dad was the one who really watered the seeds of being a performer, because we'd always watch these Looney Tunes cartoons and old animated movies like Iron Man stuff and old Pixar stuff. And we'd always do the voices together, so that was also a contributing factor. Dad was really passionate about it and introduced me to Mel Blanc's work, who's a big influence in mine in my life. I think it wasn't until when I was in middle school, the first play I did was The Little Mermaid, where I was an ensemble member. I was pushing a cart with the leads in it. I was pushing the boat during the Kiss the Girl section. I had no lines, but it was then I realized performing is fun. I want to do more of this. So that led to me doing more of that in high school, where I did some more dramatic roles and still ensemble roles in musicals, but it was really voice acting that got me into, wanting to do more of this. I was thinking about, Mel Blanc, other influences as well included, Rob Paulson, and of course, Sonic the Hedgehog and Charles Martinet were also huge influences, and I'm like, that's the kind of acting I want to do. So I use theater as a way to sort of, as a jumping off point to get to where I am now. And I started voice acting roughly around 2 years ago, where I did my first audition, and I was like, oh, that felt good. I'm gonna do another one. And the rest is history, basically. That's the abridged version of how things went down. So it was really thanks to my dad and my friends who helped me out during all this.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, I always love starting with this question because everyone has their own background story of how they got into it. So that's so interesting that you started out as in as a performer, in plays, and then it evolved into something that you actually want to do. Very
Right. Theater, yeah, theater really wasn't all that, it was fun, but the environment was, well, it wasn't the friendliest environment, to say the least. There were great people there, but it was very cliquey and very, closed. I felt very, very alone, but now with voice acting, it feels like I can actually let loose. I'm not being held back by anything.
Mm. That it's always good to put yourself in an environment also where it's like it's more welcoming. It's not like, you know, it's nothing, anything, you know, like if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. All right, Chris, do you have a question for Jsaking?
Hmm. Let's see. Well, I guess I did mention this even before they started the Q&A. It's about your project, the one that you're currently working on. What inspired that?
Ooh. Oh, Paper Mario: The Rise of Voldemort. Excited that we got a question about that. So that's been in development since 2020, before I started doing actual voiceover stuff. It started during the pandemic. I recently played the latest Paper Mario game to come out at that time, and I was also, finally got around to finishing up all the Harry Potter books, and I thought, it was the pandemic. Everyone went a bit crazy. I thought to myself, what would be funny if Mario fought Voldemort? And then I was thinking to myself, yeah, this can work. So I started writing like the first draft of the script. And then I thought, you know what, let's throw in Batman in there too, and let's throw in the Full Metal Alchemist in there as well. Let's just throw anything in there and see what sticks. One thing led to another, and I started to have like 3 fully fledged out storylines. And I was like, holy crap, this is like legit. This is something legit. But then college took over my life, and I couldn't really, work in it as much as I wanted to. It wasn't until last year, like this time exactly last year, where I was thinking to myself, you know what? I've got the experience. I know people, and I know how to edit things now. I'm gonna make this an actual audio drama and actually finish the script. So I went back to my old 2020 draft, which was very. I'll just say it's baby's first screenplay, and I went back, revised it, changed up a few things that didn't make sense, expand on some characters, and even went against my original idea, where there was one chapter, the latest one that came out, the spooky ghost one, was supposed to be something Steven Universe themed, but I changed it to horror theme because I felt like it fit better. And that's how that came to be. It came through, wanting to write something, hyperfixations kicking in, and seeing just how, fun it could be. It started off as an inside joke among friends before evolving into what it is now, and I'm really proud of that project, and I can't wait to, for you all to see the next episode. I'm working really hard on it, and I'm sorry that I'm rambling about this.
You're fine,
It's my
you're fine.
passion. But just know I love this project. I love the people involved with it, and I can't wait for you guys to see the next episode. It's turning out really good.
Yee.
Ooh, that's very cool. It's okay to ramble. Remember, this Q&A is about you, Jsaking, so it's okay to ramble.
Right. I don't
Agreed.
want to like take up too much time or anything like that, but I can ramble. Why not?
All right, so here is my next question for you.
Oh boy.
What got you into the Sonic franchise?
Ooh, that is a good story. Okay, so I was mentally preparing this question because I know it'd come up. So, Sonic's okay. Confession time. When I was growing up, I was more of a Mario fan than a Sonic fan. I know, blasphemous. You can hate me for this, but Mario was always my go-to, but Sonic was always there lingering in the background, whether it's in Smash Brothers, who was Sonic and Brawl was my pick because I thought his moveset was fun and he had like this sort of cheeky personality I really liked. Then then the Olympic Games came around. That was fun. Shadow was my main there, and I thought, you know what? I know a lot about Mario, but I don't know who any of these guys are. Who's this? Who's Shadow? Who's Eggman? Who are these guys? That's when I got, Olympics came and went. There was like a few more after that. 2012 was my favorite Olympic game. And then I got my first Sonic game, which was Sonic Generations on the 3DS. And then I played it, and I was thinking, this is a fun game. But as much as I liked it, I was never at that time gripped into the Sonic fandom. That wasn't until a few years later. I think was it around when Lost World? It was around when Lost World and Boom were coming out. It was during that period where I took more of a deep dive into it, and I learned about Sonic 06 and how that turned out to be kind of well, not the best Sonic game, but I did play at a friend's house. It was definitely as a video said it would be. And I learned about Shadow and the Space Colony arc, and that really resonated with me. Like I learned more of the why all these things happened, but again, wasn't gripped into the fandom yet. I love the soundtracks though. I think what pushed me more towards Sonic was the music. And I always watched Sonic X growing up, but the music of Sonic really got me into it. But it didn't get me fully into the fandom as I am now. That would be reserved for 2020, actually. 2020, 2019. It was when the sorry for stuttering. Just trying to recall memories. Okay, so 2017. It was when Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces were coming out, where I got re-interested in the franchise again. Because it felt like it was sort of returning to form, because Boom was kind of a weird thing, and I thought they were going to stay in the Boom territory for a while. Until Forces and Mania came out, played both of them, and it got me interested again. Interested in the characters again. Interested in the world, and above all, interested in the voice acting of the series. Something I didn't really consider back then, but now as I'm, being a performer, trying to, get into performing, I was always known for my impressions during theater. Felt like I should have brought that up during the last question. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
But yeah, impressions were my thing, and Sonic Cast had a lot of voices. I tried learning Shadow and Sonic and all that. Some were good, some were needed work, which, now I'm pretty good at it. Not gonna brag. But that got me interested again in Sonic. And what really hooked me was 2020 was a very bad period in my life. Like, we were doing a show called Footloose. Cast was not the best environment. Wasn't a good place to be mentally. I felt really alone. I felt like if I were to vanish, no one would give a damn. A darn. Sorry, just a touchy subject, but it was the first Sonic movie that saved me, and ever since then, I've been a diehard fan of everything. Played all the games, saw more Sonic media, and it was movie one that made me from I like this thing to I am obsessed with this thing. It came at at the right time in my life, and through movie one, I was able to meet up with a lot of people that I'm still friends with today, who are in the Sonic community, and who helped push me harder to be a voice actor, and push me harder to be a person. They gave me a reason to do what I do, and I'm forever eternally grateful for them, and it's all because of that one hedgehog voiced by that one guy from Parks and Recreation.
Oh. Oh. I love. Yeah, that's what the Sonic franchise has, like, this interesting vibe about it. Like, like it's like a multi-age thing, and it really brings people together. Because there's so many people in the Sonic community that love this blue hedgehog so much, and it could be for any reason, and
Yep.
and that's very heartwarming, Jsaking.
Sonic is amazing, and I'm just happy to be a part of this fandom. Happy to finally to be where I'm at in this fandom is something I never thought would happen in my life, but here I am, I guess. What else is new? To go frontiers.
Break through it all, my
Right.
friend.
Oh, all
And
right.
find your flame.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Because we're undefeatable.
Exactly. So
All
I'm
right,
here.
Chris. So Chris, do you have another question for Jsaking?
Hmm. I guess, like, out of all of the characters you've actually got to do voice work as, which one would you say was the hardest one to do?
My favorite
Ooh.
in Sonic or just in general?
Like, both.
Okay, for Sonic, I think the hardest one for me is probably Cubot.
Ooh.
Whenever I see him for Cubot, I auditioned for him a few times because I felt like, funny robot, but my voice isn't exactly as how Cubot's voice is like in the games, because, Cubot has this sort of Kermit the Frog esque voice. I tried to imitate that, but it just started hurting my throat. So sometimes I talk up high when I'm doing Cubot, or sometimes I do my really bad Kermit the Frog impression when I'm doing him. So Cubot's hard to master. But in terms of like hardest like Sonic voice to vocally do for long periods of time would be Eggman and Vector for
Ooh.
long periods of time. And in terms of hardest voice I ever had to do generally, I can't remember. There was just so much.
I know in regards to Vector, especially with the way he sounds, that'd definitely be
Yeah.
a difficult thing to do. Yeah,
And
cause
Zavok too.
that too. And considering I've heard like I've had you as Eggman for the writer's arc, I can definitely see like the voice you chose for it. Like if I remember correctly, you tried to do the SA Eggman voice. If I remember correctly.
No, the SA Eggman was for the. It was for the not the Riders one. It was the Chow Garden one.
In the
For the
writer's
Riders
one,
one, I just did my normal one.
I could hear like a little mixture of like like the normal voice, but also like the SA Eggman, especially when he rolls the R's in that.
I was going for something more similar to the old cartoon with
Still loved it.
Long John Barley.
It was still good. But
Mm.
yeah, I see what you mean.
Also Zavok.
Yep.
He's hard. There are some videos where I do voice Zavok for like IDW dubs. He is hard and he screams a lot, and it does tank your throat after doing that for like 2 hours, 3 takes per line. It's painful.
Oh yeah, I definitely know how that feels. There's still some characters that are still hard for me to do, even ones that are now I'm starting to actually try doing. So I know how you feel.
Mm. Yeah, that's very understandable. Yeah, I know a few of my other VA buddies have told me, yeah, doing Vector really hurts the throat. Because they have to because when you think about it, Vector's voice is very like gruff, but at the same time, it's like a mix of something mysterious about it. Like I don't know how to describe Vector's voice, but I know it's very
Noir, but gruff.
yeah, noir. Yeah, I think that was the word I was looking for, noir. Yeah, because I know gruff is also part of the reason. Um, I
It's like
know.
gargly too. It's like he's gargling water as well.
Yeah, so I can definitely see why it hurts the throat when you try to do vector. That I totally understand.
I think there are a few projects where you can actually hear the strain on my voice.
Oh,
Hmm.
interesting. All right, so let me see. All right, here is my next question for you. How about tell us your experience of being a part of the Sonic Revolution voice cast and how has it helped your voice performance?
Oh, it's awesome being a part of Revo. I I did not think I was going to get the part when I auditioned for Omega or Omega's understudy in this case, but I got the part and I figured, they're probably just going to use the main guy. They're not going to need us. Literally the day after, Dr. Diet Kelp calls me saying, "Hey, yo, we need Omega now," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, oh crap, we're doing this." So I just had to quickly make a filter on voice mod and just go right in there and just have fun. It reminded me a lot of improv classes I used to take, but rather than just being with people with like three people I can be myself around, everyone else is just kind of everyone here is fun. Like, it taught me more to just open up and have fun and help me with my improv a lot better. Bouncing off one another, it's a lot of fun, and yeah, just help me out with improv. I'm really hoping to do more Sonic Revo stuff in the future.
Yeah, I would say it just depends on the panel.
Omega doesn't show up that much.
Yeah.
But when he does, I try to be as brutally honest and just amp up the aggressiveness to 11.
Well, that is pretty much like Omega's like personality. So it's like you are right on the money about Omega. So it's like just be bluntly honest and.
I think when I figured out that I mastered, Omega for that was when I started to make the other cast members break character.
Yeah. Yep. You are doing a great job if you're breaking the other voice cast out of characters. We had instances of that happening. So but that's great. Yeah, like how do you think it has helped you improve your Omega voice, since being a part of the Revo cast now?
Improving my Omega voice. Well, it's less robotic and more aggressive is what I want to what I want to say and how they improved it. Because before it was like worthless consumer models, but with Revo, I started to lean more into like the more aggressive nature. So it's like worthless consumer models, prepare to be eliminated. And just slap a filter on that, and then it's Omega. So yeah, Revo helped me out with Omega a lot.
For some reason, I can imagine just your Omega in like a sitcom, because sitcom is like comedy, and then and then whenever your Omega says, like, I could just hear like
a laugh track.
A laugh track just because of
what is the deal with airline food?
But yeah, but that's great. Yeah, like you do such an amazing job. At first you're kind of like, it's like they probably just need the main person. Then it's like, oh, okay, they do need me.
Yeah, it was literally seconds after I got casted. Where I was like, okay, it's just gonna be another server that takes up a lot of space. Never gonna have to worry about it. And then, oh crap, I have to worry about it.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, I wasn't expecting to do my first like panel that quickly. But hey, it worked out. People love your Omega. That's
I love that. I'm glad I was able to make people happy and laugh in the chat and just make people happy. That's my mission statement. Do it to make people happy.
For sure. All right, Chris, do you have another question for Jsaking?
Not right now. Let's see if anybody in the chat has any.
I do not see any from on my end.
I don't see anyone in the chat either.
We are live, aren't we?
Yeah,
we are live.
Weird.
Must be a quiet day.
Yeah. Well, it is still early, and it is still, like, some people are still in school. So, yeah, that's understandable.
Okay. All right. I have a lot of questions, so don't worry.
Awesome.
All right.
And I have a lot of answers.
All right. In Sonic Revolution, I'm very curious. Do you have any favorite panel moments that you find memorable or funny?
There was one where I think Aaron doing Ruse was talking about Oh, well, we did the sponsorship with Chaos Cola because we wanted to help the brand, and I just interrupted as Omega saying, we needed the money. That, I think, broke a lot of people.
Lol.
I think that's how I first met Erin, and she's awesome. Shoutouts to Erin.
Agreed.
And I think another one that I remember clearly was the most recent one we did for Glitch. I don't know if you were there, Leah, but Chris was there, and it was chaotic. Like the whole thing with Fang, and if Naze was here, he'd vouch for me, and he'd vouch because Shadow just threw. He teleported Fang all the way to Antarctica. And I think there was a lot of interactions I had with people as Omega, and they usually ended in me wanting to break their legs.
No.
But there was one moment where I just said something really wholesome about Team Dark, and I think that was something I liked, because Omega, aggressive, don't cross him. If you ever see him in the back alley, run, but he cares about his team members, and would slaughter thousands for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't there. I was very busy.
Yeah.
I've been very busy. Like I said, I have recently reached 3K, so that's why I was.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but that's really cool. I'm so glad that I did ask Glitch about it too. I was like, how did the VA thing go for your Festival of Ages? And she told me it went pretty well. I'm like, that's great. I told her I'm so sorry I couldn't too. Then I was just so busy, and you know, life gets in the way sometimes. um, but that's great. Like, I think it's ironic that you said that, Jsaking, about because I'm not sure if you saw the recent Takashi Iizuka thing they posted. And apparently Shadow doesn't have a job, so
Right, he's jobless.
it's so funny that you say that as Omega. I'm like, did you just foreshadow something about Shadow being jobless?
I don't know. Maybe he does really need the money.
But I think that line was just, it made people laugh because it's so relatable at the same time.
The
You know?
secret with Omega on how I do him for improv stuff is completely, brutally honest. He is not going to sugarcoat anything. It's on his program. He's going to tell you how it is, the way it is, no filter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we ever do a Rated R panel, Omega's going to go nuts.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Well, Omega's like the type of friend you need around, though. Like, he'll just say it like it is, even though it might end up hurting someone's feelings. But that's just the way.
Rouge, that mascara is terrible.
Omega, you don't have any right to talk.
I have more fashion than you do in both of your wings, Bat.
Who said I was the bat?
Oh my gosh. All right, here's my next question for you, Jsaking. Do you have any advice for people who are aspiring to be voice actors?
Oh boy. Well, practice as early as you can. Do theater. That's a good place to start off. Community theater, whether it's, for your school or for your town. Doing theater is a really good springboard into more acting, as you can, you learn not just physically, but also vocally on how to portray a character. And it gives you, acting experience, which you'll need when you do auditions. And if you want to be an aspiring voice actor, I highly recommend you, first off, practice every day. You can't just, do an impression and be like, oh yeah, I'm a voice actor now. It doesn't work like that. You gotta work for it. And, don't dilly-dally and all that. Be sure to join up, go to Casting Call Club, join the voice actors server on Discord, and just look around on Twitter, because I know they have a lot of talent rosters and they have a lot of projects they need voices for. Trying to think of other advice I can give. Oh yeah, here's another one. Don't be afraid. It's normal to be afraid when you're starting off. I was terrified for a while. Like, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was, worthy of being where I am. I still struggle with self doubt, but just know that you are worthy. You can do it. The only one stopping you from achieving your dreams is you. You gotta fight your self doubt and just put one foot in front of the other and go for it. Just let go of your fears and go for it. Because once you start, you'll be you'll be a whole lot happier when you're continuing. And trying to think of other pieces of advice I can give. Oh yeah, do not instacast.
Facts.
And yeah, practice on your own. Like if you're reading a comic book or a graphic novel or a book, think of the character, make up a voice. When I was reading Harry Potter, and I know Harry Potter is a bit of a iffy subject, make up a voice for the characters when you're reading. Doesn't have to be British. Or if you're reading Percy Jackson, make up a voice for Percy when you're reading out loud. Because when you're reading out loud and you're getting to, feel the characters, and don't just read by saying the words, feel the characters' emotions. If they're experiencing grief, let it out. If they're telling a joke, sound funny. Just come up with a voice. It can come up from anywhere. And that's my advice. Keep practicing. Put your best foot forward. Don't be afraid. And if you get rejected, that's okay. Rejections are just lessons. Learn what you did, what you felt like you could improve on, and you'll do great next edition. And if that doesn't go well, then keep on practicing. You will make it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's my advice in a nutshell.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that advice that you that you said, Jsaking. Those are very essential things. It's like everyone's like afraid, to put their foot forward, like no matter
Exactly.
what it is. It's like it's not just voice acting. There's also because I've seen some, I've seen some where people actually admit that they're kind of like, should I leave my day job, to pursue this? And then, they're kind of like afraid because, they might lose that stability, that they're, with their day job that they're used to going to. And then they want to pursue something else. And it's like, I don't know if I'll, because starting out is difficult. You have to be sure that this is what you really want to do and not be afraid to do it, because
Exactly.
I've always listened to like a lot of people's stories that it's usually just they're afraid to lose that stability. And I think that's why a lot of people are like afraid, because when you do first start out, it's like um it's pretty much like finding a job. Like you can't, like you don't expect it right away. You're going to be applying or auditioning, and like there's always going to be like it's probably more like you get more rejections than
More
actually.
rejections than casts. That's
Yeah.
how it is.
Mhm.
It's tough to admit it, but you're gonna get rejected more often than you're gonna get casted.
Mhm. So I I think that's the best way that I can sum it up. It's like finding a job. You can
Exactly.
keep applying or auditioning and sending out as many as you want, but um, a lot of them you're gonna get reject. You're gonna get rejection. It's just it's just part of the process, because probably the voice that you sent your audition for probably wasn't the right voice for the character that whoever's casting or
Yeah, a lot of
sending.
Sonic projects are like that. Let me tell you.
Hmm. So so yeah, wonderful advice. All right,
Looks like
Chris. Oh,
Hmm?
Oh
Looks like
yeah,
there's a question in the chat on my end, at least.
oh, would
What's
you
with
like to
this
read
one?
that?
But you're good. Hang on, let me
Okay.
look at it.
Lee Nugnug asks, "Do you always want to do voice acting when you were younger?" Well, that's an interesting question. I always wanted to do something that involved performing. I think once I considered being a live actor for Nickelodeon sitcoms, but I'm just glad I never pursued that given the documentary. But
Yeah.
I always wanted to do voices. I didn't know how. I always wanted to do it, so it was always there. It was always planted. Hope that answers your question.
Mm.
It was planted. It just needed someone to water it.
Right.
Mm.
So my
Yeah.
next question is, uh, what big like aside from Nickelodeon, obviously, was there any other like places like Disney or like Cartoon Network, like for like voice work or live work, did you ever want to try to go for when you were
Oh
younger?
yes, there is. And I still want to go to those places now. I feel like I'm getting closer by the minute with every project. I feel like I'm getting closer to that goal. Like, I'd love to work for Nickelodeon, preferably in an animated role, not a live action one.
Yeah.
I'd love to work for like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, but I really want to work on Disney with something. Disney was my childhood. Like, their films and the theme parks were huge inspirations for me. And learning about the Disney voice actors like Brett Iwan and Bill Farmer, Tony Anselmo, all those guys were really inspired me to pursue voice acting as well. I wanted to hopefully maybe work with Disney character voices, preferably after the video game strike's done. Obviously, just want to get that out there so no one accuses me of scabbing. But that is a bucket list idea. Work for Disney, whether it's on a movie, a film, a game, preferably after the strike. Just had to put that out there. Or, you know, as an animatronic in the theme park. I feel like
Ooh.
that would be cool because, there might be someone out there that doesn't like me, and then they go to Disney World, they hear my voice, and they're like, "Ah, no, it's him. He followed me here."
Hmm.
Wow, interesting. Very interesting. Because like if it does happen for you, Jsaking, you never know. Like especially if you get casted for like an animated movie, the ones that Disney releases in theaters, you might also have a chance to voice in Kingdom Hearts because they always try to get the actual original VAs that voiced in the Disney films
That's what I
to
want to
voice
do.
the characters in Kingdom Hearts. But
Exactly.
if they can't, they usually try to find like a VA that's a voice sound alike that sounds very similar to the original VA. So you never know.
Well, I know that main leads are gonna go to celebrities because that's what they're doing now, but, being a sound alike sounds pretty cool too.
Hmm.
I get again. I am a big impressions guy, so I feel like I got a shot. Kingdom
Hmm.
Hearts, that would be a dream come true.
Right.
Yeah, but do you want to know the most ironic thing that I think when Tangled was actually being developed, like Zachary actually admitted he took on the role of Eugene because he actually wanted to voice in Kingdom Hearts, and what do you know? They put
Is that
Tangled.
true?
Yeah, he actually said that somewhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he actually ended up reprising his role as Eugene for Kingdom Hearts 3.
So that was the actual actor,
Yeah, that was actually him.
Yeah, I just looked up right now, and he says he wanted to voice for Disney just to be in Kingdom Hearts.
and he got what
Hmm.
he wanted.
Yeah.
Success.
Hmm.
I know, like when they were doing, like when it came to like some of the like characters, like Toy Story, they had to get like different people that almost sounded similar to Woody and Buzz. Yeah, they couldn't get
And
Tim
they got
Allen and Tom
Tom
Hanks.
Hanks's brother.
Yep, they got
Hmm.
his brother to be a part of that. So that's pretty impressive. I think they did
Yeah.
though get the original actor for the pig. Yeah, because he sounds exactly like him as well as Rex, as well as the toy soldiers. I think those are the only ones that had their original actors for.
Wasn't one of the toy soldiers Roger Craig Smith?
Yeah,
Yeah, one of them was.
one of them was.
Yeah, like the most ironic thing is that I actually, when I was looking up the voice cast for Kingdom Hearts 3, some of the Sonic voice actors voice in it. So,
Right. There's Roger Craig Smith's a few roles. Kirk Thornton, who does Shadow, is Syax, and Quentin Flynn, who was a role model of mine, and
Wait, hold on, hold
who's
on. Wait, Sykes? Wait, you played him?
no, Quentin Flynn voices Axel. Kirk Thornton voices Syax,
hmm
Wait, so
yeah,
and
he?
Quentin Flynn.
Wait, oh,
Yeah,
wow. So he was playing
and
him
Quint
even before Kingdom Hearts 3.
yeah, and Quentin Flynn, who voices Silver, well, not anymore, but he who did voice Silver also voices Axel. So there's a lot of overlap between Sonic and Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I didn't know he actually voiced the Axel, like, because, like, it's still the same, like, even in the older games, like, the previous ones, it still had the same
It's the
VA. I
same.
didn't,
It's the same people as the older ones, and that was before I think they got casted in Sonic, because I think that was in the 2010s when the recasting happened.
hmm
right?
yeah. So, yeah, and I know Travis Willingham voices one of the foretellers. If you watch
He
Kingdom Hearts,
does.
yeah, he voices Aced. He's the one with the bear mask. Um,
I have to go back and play Kingdom Hearts 3 just to hear them all.
Right.
like it, like if you watch Kingdom Hearts back cover, that's where you actually hear the foretellers' voices. And it's basically like a 2 hour ish like movie, I guess you can say. And it's kind of like retelling Kingdom Hearts Key, the mobile games, but
Yeah,
it's through the foreteller's perspective, because the mobile game is from the player's perspective,
got
but
it.
back cover is the foreteller's perspective, and and it kind of leads to their them starting to have like doubts and that stuff.
Got it.
um,
Got it.
yeah, so yeah, for those who did not know, some of the Sonic VAs actually voice in Kingdom Hearts.
The more you know.
hmm All right, let me see. Where is my next question? Let me go to it. Okay. What brand of recording equipment do you use to have the best sound quality, and which would you recommend?
I am terrible at remembering this sort of stuff. This is the worst possible question because I am terrible at remembering this sort of stuff. But I use a Fee-Find mic. It's simple, cheap, but it gets the job done pretty well. And I also, of course, have soundproof walls. Even though I'm in my college dorm right now, I make sure to get like a little soundproof shield to help, the sound as good as it can be, even when I'm away from my main studio. Same mic, different area, and soundproofed. So I hope that answers your question. I am terrible at remembering exact numbers and specs and all that stuff.
It's all good. I always love asking this question because I know a lot of voice actors use different brands, and it gives a lot of great insight to what people use, because I know some people start out, with the actual,
With the infamous Blue Yeti.
yeah, Blue Yeti.
That that's definitely one of the mics of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse. You could always just use your computer mic,
Or your cell phone mic.
cell phone mic outside with the wind. Audio's all cut off. For Rise of Voldemort, when we casted Sonic for that thing, and there is a reason why Sonic is in that, you just have to watch the series to find out. There was a lot of those kind of additions with the Yetis and the computer mic outside in the wind. or phone recording.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like 41 Sonic, so you can imagine how fun the review process was.
Oh. Oh, Chris, do you have another question for Jsaking?
Okay. Mm, in regards to like the whole thing, what made you choose to have Voldemort as the villain for the project itself?
Good question. Why is Voldemort the main villain? Um, well, I was in a bit of a Harry Potter fixation at that time. So I was thinking, like, who should Mario face? Who should Bowser team up with? And I thought, you know what? Why not have Voldemort team up with Bowser to take over the world and capture the princess? And, we can combine the Death Eaters with the Koopa troops, and that also led to the concept of fusions, where one character can fuse with another, like how a Dementor fused with Scar from The Lion King and got Demenscar, which was something that I created based off of my own personal nightmares.
Oh, geez.
So the reason why Voldemort is the main villain was due to an, at the time, fixation on Harry Potter and feeling like, what would happen if Mario fought Voldemort?
Hmm.
The question no one asked.
Honestly, it's a nice change because you can't just have the usual villain for Mario, aka Bowser. It's a nice change up, yeah, from the usual one villain itself.
Plus, I love writing Bowser and Voldemort's dynamic. It's like a very bitter married couple.
Oh.
And I just love the dynamic that they have, where one's trying to, get more control than the other, but they're still working together. It's like watching a sitcom with two a very bitter and angry couple.
So very true. Actually, now I think about it, how hard was it to cast the character itself, especially when you're trying to get that exact tone for the character itself?
Hang on. There we go. Wait, can you hear me right? Because I
Yeah,
thought I messed up my mic.
Yeah.
Okay, casting Voldemort, you said?
Yeah, how hard was it to cast that character?
Casting Voldemort was, it was a process. I remember that I was with my friends who I showed the original draft to. We were all so happened to be at the same room during casting. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it together. And we went through every single audition for Voldemort. A lot of them were going off of Sorcerer's Stone vibes, where he sounded like this, very whispery and very raspy. And basically, most of them sounded like they had too much Taco Bell. if you get where I'm going.
I get where you're going.
But then we get to Rohan's edition, and Rohan is the voice of Voldemort for my project, and he delivers his lines so beautifully and twisted and evil, and he just captured everything I wanted out of how I portrayed Voldemort in that series. Right. It was sinister yet charming, which I felt like was a really
Go ahead.
Which I felt like was a really good fit for what I was going for, because I didn't want Voldemort to sound like he had Mexican food.
Plus, it's also good to actually, do your research on the characters, personality and everything.
Oh, research is important.
Exactly.
For some of the other, there's one chapter, the current one I'm working on. I can't really give too much about the plot away, but it does have GLaDOS from Portal, and it does take place in a more twisted version of Disney World's Epcot and Tomorrowland. So I made sure to do my homework on the Portal series, on GLaDOS, how she talks, how she acts, to make sure, I don't mess anything up. Same with, because, the new environment is themed after the Epcot park. I made sure to review, how the park was built, the rides there, and the rides that were there in the past that I wanted to bring in. So whenever I bring in a new character or a new concept to the Voldemort to Rise of Voldemorts, I make sure to do my homework on them so I get them correctly, because I think I speak on behalf of most Sonic fans saying they don't like their character written poorly.
So true. Leah, you got any other questions?
Yes, I do. All right. So here is my next question for you. In your words, Jsaking, what would you say is the most rewarding when it comes to being a voice actor?
The most rewarding when it comes to being a voice actor. Hmm, that's a tough question. Most rewarding. Well, there is, of course, there's of course resume building. That's one thing, but it's one thing to voice in something that's fun, cute little thing. But it's another thing when you voice something in a project that resonates with other people. Like for example, Sonic Shorts, Glide the Dragon, which is this new open world dragon game that's on Steam, and the two Sonic fan games that I voiced Knuckles in, Sonic Breeze and Sonic Velocity, for ones that stood out above a lot of them because they were actual, they're things that resonated with people in a way that not a lot of the others, to my knowledge, were able to. So I'm really, being in something that speaks to someone and sparks their own interest in voice acting and pursuing their career, I think that's the biggest reward, more than the likes and the views and the praises and all that. Making someone happy, that is the biggest reward. Because there could be someone out there having a really bad day and they watch a video with me in it and that makes them, want to continue. I feel like that's the biggest reward.
Oh, that's heartwarming. You know, yeah, because you literally said it's very ironic you say that because you said you kind of experienced that yourself, you know,
Exactly.
and then it's kind of like, okay, yeah, and it's like I do want to brighten someone else's day, if they're having a bad day, if my voice can do that for them, in
Mm-hmm.
in terms of voice acting, I was like, hey, that's rewarding.
Like I feel like now more than ever it's needed because I don't know if you've been paying attention to a lot of stuff, but there is a lot of drama in the voice acting community that I just discovered when I first got Twitter. And, I feel like rather than just poke fun at each other or laugh at each other, best thing we can do is lift one another up and lift, people that are struggling up. I feel like that kindness is something that we need to preserve.
Hmm. Yeah, that's something I agree with. All right, Chris, do you have another question for Jsaking?
Hmm. Let's see. Out of any other project, like aside from your own, is there any project that you have had fun working in, or currently working in?
Oh, there's quite a few. One of them was a project called Addicton, which I think was someone's college thesis, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like a fully original project with, it's an original animatic project that where I voice a narrator, and he's like this 1920s radio host. Think like Alistair from Hazbin Hotel, and it was a very fun premise, which is like basically a darker version of Toy Story, but there's gangs, and I voiced this narrator that was advertising it all, and it was really really fun to do. There's also another original project that I cannot pronounce, Zyofrak and Zach, where I voice Zyofrak, who's like he's like Venom, but less angry and more tired with everything. And I got to see, completed animation for that, and I'm like, holy crap, this is legit. Plus, it's fun playing a character that's, done with everything, especially after a long day of work. You're like, oh boy, let me just do this thing because I think I did a lot of them when I was tired. Glide the Glide the Dragon, where I voiced an NPC dragon in Fanfare, was another fun one where I voiced a dragon named Fanfare. It was just like 3 lines of dialogue, but that was my first big game credit, so I'm excited for that. to be a full game rather than a demo. And trying to think of some other fun ones that I remember doing. It was on the top of my head, but I just lost it. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, I remembered. It was a Sonic the Hedgehog audiobook where I voiced Sonic and Eggman and Fang, and there was like a lot of others I voiced in there, but Sonic and Eggman were the and Mel Sonic. That was there were two where I for Sonic, and I voiced Sonic in both of them. Do you know Unitato Productions?
I do know. I think I know which project you're talking about.
Yeah, Cosmic Protector. I voiced Sonic in that. There is a sneak peek of that out, and that was, I think, when I finally got how Sonic should sound. Where I just locked in, I'm like, okay, this is what I gotta do. No more trying to mimic another actor. More take Sonic, take his personality. How would I do Sonic if I was voicing him? Forget what Jason did, forget what Roger did, forget what Ryan did. How would I do this? And that's where I first developed that mindset. And then I continued that for the audiobook, where I expanded upon it more. And Sonic gets into a lot of crazy stuff in that. Like, he's joking around, he's angry a lot, he's in pain, and he's sad. And there was one moment where I had to choke myself out because he was being strangled. And I think I almost fainted during that recording session.
Oh.
That was a fun one. And there's a lot of stuff that's yet to come, including one that I'm under NDA for, so yet to come. Keep your eyes peeled.
Interesting. All right, so here is my next question for you. Are there any Sonic characters you relate to in terms of their personality?
Great question. Yes, there are. There was two that I can connect with. One of them is Shadow, because, sometimes I can come off as, mysterious and antisocial, but I have someone or a group of people, but mostly someone deep down that I have my own Maria that helped kickstart my journey and basically helped motivate me to do what I do. But in terms of like personality relating to, it has to be Silver. I love Silver the Hedgehog. He is my favorite Sonic character, and I just love him because I relate to him a lot. The naivety, the optimism when things seem a bit rough, trying to keep your head up no matter what, and he's just sweet, and I love him, and I feel like I relate to Silver the most because of naive, but trying to do your best in life. Optimism.
Nice. Yeah, I can definitely see Silver, in you because like you already know how how voice acting is, even though like you may not get specific parts, but you're also positive that like this just motivates me more to keep doing better.
Yeah. Not
That's
just in voice acting, but in life too. Like, messed up, yeah, I'm a bit upset about it, but, calm down and just figure out how to turn this into a positive. And I'll admit, it's hard, and sometimes I do need help. But same with Silver. There are some hard times he has, and sometimes he needs to admit that he needs help. That doesn't make him weak. And I feel like, admitting you need help is something more stronger than refusing help.
For sure. Like, literally, I think I can sum it up in terms of like, there's this line that Uncle Phil says from Fresh Prince of Bel Air: nobody does anything without help. That's literally what
Exactly.
Will in that one scene, because Will, he tore up he tore up his uncle's check because he wanted to earn all the money himself to pay for his own ticket. And then Uncle Phil just he literally told him, it's like nobody does anything without help, Will, you know. And and I think you that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
The way Silver is.
Optimistic, curious about everything, trying to do his best. Sometimes he needs a bit of help, and sometimes he messes up here and there.
Hmm. Yeah. All right, Chris, do you have another question?
Right now, I can't think of anything. Right now. Hello?
Oh, yeah, we're here.
Yeah,
Yep.
did you hear what I said?
What'd you say?
I think I
Yeah.
can't think of anything right now.
Oh,
Alrighty.
gotcha. Okay, here is my next question for you, Jsaking. What do you think is the most important skill for a voice actor to have?
Acting. I know that sounds kind of, well, duh, but you'd be surprised how many people think voice acting is just doing a silly voice and that's it. No, that's not how voice acting is. Like, doing a voice is one thing, but can you do that voice when the character is upset? Can you do that voice when the character is angry? Can you do it when he's talking normally, or when he's very excited about something, or when he's shy or scared? Without that range, without acting, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Mm.
And I feel like that applies a lot, especially within the Sonic community, because there's a lot of, people that say, oh, I'm a Sonic voice actor, and then they just give the most one-note performance I've ever heard in my life. And they need a bit of work. People need work.
Yeah.
It's voice acting.
Hmm. It literally says it in the word itself too. Like because since voice acting is through a voice, it's not like musicals or stage plays,
Exactly,
where
it's just
where
your
you
voice.
yes, where you can actually visually see, when they're speaking and then their, actual performances where you can see them, their facial expressions, to really show what the character is feeling at that moment in that scene. But with voice acting, you have to clearly do that all through your
You
voice.
have to get into what the character is saying. You
Mm-hmm.
have to get into what he's feeling
Mm-hmm.
and feel them yourself.
Exactly. Like I know with like I know some they never give like any like visual representation, so you literally have to critically think about how can I make this emotion come out through the voice. It's something you really have to critically think about, and
That's why direction is also important.
yeah, that's why voice direction is definitely important too. Because I've heard, I actually watched like a Q&A panel that they did for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and they talked about behind the scenes stuff when they were in the recording booth, and some of them have mentioned that they don't really get, like I think they get like snippets, of the cutscenes in the game
Mm-hmm.
at least to give them some visual representation so they can
Oh,
actually
exactly. That's how it's like with games. I cannot talk about the specific thing, but there was one game thing where they didn't give me the full picture. They just gave me my stuff and the character that I'm bouncing off of, and I just had to think from there, like, oh, what's this guy doing, and how is this guy feeling at this moment on the spot, with the very limited things I got. But it
Mhm.
worked out well in the end because I had some direction.
Yeah. Like sometimes a visual representation really helps too,
Like in
because
comics.
yeah, like if you don't have that, it makes it a little it makes it a lot harder, to channel out
Right.
the different emotions of what this character is feeling in this specific scene. It's like, how do I need a visual because for me, if I were to do voice acting hypothetically, I would rather want a visual representation because at least I'm like, okay, like you can tell from just facial expression. Like they might be sad, they might be mad, they might be, crying pools of tears or something or anything like that. I think visual representation really helps a lot, in terms of that.
Also, getting to know more about your character through like backstory stuff. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching the Sonic X Shadow Generations panel where Kirk Thornton, who's one of my inspirations for voice acting and what I base my shadow off of, he said that he was never given the full picture when he first started off doing Shadow. It was only recently where he got the full scope with the animation and the new game coming out, and it's really been helping him understand Shadow more. So I think getting some time to really think about your character and getting the full picture can really help you understand what this guy's going through because okay, maybe he's feeling sad because he lost someone in his past and he doesn't want to open up. You need to bring that into the performance too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, visual representation is very important,
Right.
and whatever description, the they decide to give you about the character. So it really brings it into perspective, you know.
And that's
Yep.
why research is important on the characters and whatnot. That way you know what to do.
Hmm. Yeah.
With Rise of Voldemort stuff, because I also write the scripts and I do some direction stuff.
Yeah.
I make sure to indicate what's going on, whether it's in parentheses or through stage direction, just to make sure everyone knows. Okay, this is what the character is feeling at this point. This is the mood I want, and this is like the tone of the scene. Just to make sure I don't get any performances that feel like they're reading through the script.
Hmm. Yeah.
Seems like chat's getting more active. Rain Boom's here.
Yeah.
Rainbow. All right,
If you got
Chris.
any questions, shout them out. I might answer them.
Chris, do you have a question?
Hmm. Let's see. Out of the characters you've actually, like voiced, like try to voice and as well as voiced, is there one character that you've been wanting to, put your effort into trying to do? One that was difficult for you to do?
So what you're saying is, out of all the characters, like, are we talking just Sonic stuff or
Like all in
in
general.
general?
Like all in general, not just with Sonic stuff.
And how hard it was?
Like yeah, like if you had tried to voice a character once before, but like couldn't really do it in the past. But
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. A lot of deep characters. Like I remember there was this religious thing that I did. I know it's a bit weird, but where I voiced this rabbi, and it's a character that I've never done before because I thought, you know what, why not? It seems fun. I want to do something a bit more serious and outside of my usual thing that I do, and there was like some like biblical thing, and I thought, outside my comfort zone, but why not? So I put on a more deeper voice, a more stoic voice, a more like insightful voice, rather than jolly old man. So that took a lot of real acting, really good something that I've never done before. And I think another one, trying to remember something that I couldn't do in the past but I've done now. Oh yeah, in terms of Sonic, it would be Knuckles. Knuckles, I always thought was my weakest Sonic voice. But it wasn't until recently when it's been picking up again, and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I can do this, because that's the voice that's gotten me into all the fan games I'm in. And it seems like someone out there likes it. So I hope that answers that question. It was the It was that rabbi character in that religious project, and it was Knuckles.
Can definitely relate on the Knuckles thing. I'm still trying to work on that.
And full disclosure, I am not a religious person.
Mm.
I just did it because it seemed interesting.
Mm.
Hmm. Alright, Leah.
Ooh, okay. All right. Okay. Here's my next question for you, Jsaking.
Ooh.
Have you been to the Sonic Symphony concert? If so, what was your experience like listening to Sonic
Oh,
from the past 4 years
yes.
present? And what was your favorite Sonic music they performed?
Yes, I have been to the Sonic Symphony in New York City. It was the best time of my life. It was like a mosh pit. Like I was expecting, oh, this will be fun, but funny story. When it was when I heard like, okay, I'm going to the symphony, what am I going to wear? So I picked out this nice little tuxedo, some nice jeans, and then I head to the city. First thing I see was a woman dressed up as Blaze. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, I overdressed. And then I saw Jack Botnick, and I'm like, yeah, I really overdressed. Because there's a guy dressed up as Eggman here. So yeah, the experience was great. I got to finally meet some of my people I've collaborated with, like Jespo Voices, who I do Sonic Remembrance for. And it was fun to meet people I've only known through Discord. And the music itself was phenomenal. Like, I don't think I've ever... I cried during that. And my favorite number of it all is probably His World from Sonic 06. That song really resonated with me back when I first heard it, and hearing it performed with a full live orchestra and a live band was just, it was beautiful. And you bet I was singing along to it. And I'm going to the Sonic Symphony again in December in Jersey.
Ooh.
So if you guys are in the area, I'd love to stop and say hi.
Ooh.
The only downside was my belt falling off and breaking.
Oh no.
So there was a wardrobe malfunction. But other than that, the Sonic Symphony was amazing, and I can't wait to go again for the Year of Shadow.
Mhm. But at least now you know what you're going to dress
Yeah.
up.
I might do the tuxedo again. Because it's winter, it's gonna be colder.
That's true, yeah. But that's cool, yeah. The Sonic Symphony is, it's definitely worth going to.
Have you
Um,
guys been?
I've been, yeah. I went to the one last year. I think it was like probably like the second tour spot after London. It was in LA.
Wow.
Um, yeah. Andrew HBA actually went to the one in London last year, and then they literally had LA as the next tour spot to do the symphony. So I went there with two of my friends, and I actually saw Kevin, and yeah, I saw Kevin, I saw Angel Lydia, I believe I saw Phoenix.
I was there with I know Edward Sabino was there, but I didn't see him. He said he saw me, but I didn't see him. Then again, I have no idea what he looks like, so it was hard for me to find him. And I know there was a project director. Oh yeah, going back to the roles I really love, it was a character named Rio for a Sonic AU, who was like, it's like Silver, but if he was from the present and had a bit more of a childlike mind, and I think Rio's one of my favorite characters I've ever played. He's just so fun. He's just a nice ball of sunshine in a gritty world. I met the person who made Rio there. Well, I didn't meet her. Apparently she was there. And she was like, dude, you were there and you didn't tell me? And I was like, I didn't know you were going.
It's kind of like Yeah, you didn't tell me you were going, so how was I supposed to know?
How was I supposed to know?
It's kind of like I'm not a mind reader. But that's great that you had a lot of fun. Sonic Symphony definitely worth it. I'm very curious, did you buy any merchandise when you were there or
Have you seen the line?
It's not wrong.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I was actually willing to wait in it. We were pretty close to the front, so when me and my one of my friends, he went with me, and we didn't wait too long, so it was moving pretty fast. When um and we got to the front like in 10 minutes or something like that.
Well, here's hoping the one in Jersey's shorter.
Oh, all right, Chris. Do you have another question?
Mm,
Chris?
no, because I'm still here. No, we haven't gotten any of your questions because most of our questions gotten answered.
Ah, gotcha. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Jsaking. Have you tried out the Sonic X IHOP collaboration that was a while back? And if you did, which menu item did you try?
I have not tried the IHOP collaboration because I'm nowhere near an IHOP. I would have loved to do it, but I just wasn't near it. But if I did go there, I would get the Shadow the Hedgehog pancakes.
Ooh, nice.
The ultimate pancakes for the ultimate life form.
But I'm also curious if you were to suggest another menu item, hypothetically for the Sonic X IHOP collaboration, what character would it be and what dish would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Definitely something that involves silver.
I'll be right back.
Ooh.
So maybe like either a silver waffle or a silver milkshake. Silver's a
Ooh.
sweetheart, so he'll probably get like a sweet thing.
Ooh. I can definitely see it as like maybe a milkshake and and stuff, but what flavor would it be? I'm very curious what idea you have.
Probably cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. Yo, I'm so there. I love cookies and cream.
Silver would have cookies and cream as an ice cream flavor.
Oh yeah.
Not that I'm
That
being biased, favorite character and favorite ice cream flavor, but it just fits him.
yeah. Like would you like if say hypothetically if it was like an ice cream, would you put any toppings on it or just leave it just as cookies and cream?
Hmm. Maybe some light blue sprinkles or light blue
Ooh.
M&Ms or something. Definitely
Ooh.
whipped cream on it. Maybe some chocolate chips.
Ooh, that is definitely something. I would definitely get that if they were ever to do another Sonic X IHOP collaboration, or if they ever did one with Baskin Robbins, because they do have cookies and cream.
That would be perfect.
And then they could just and then they would just ask, "Hey, would you like the specific toppings on your ice cream?" um and stuff. So, ooh, a very, very nice pick. No one has suggested that. So you were like the first person to suggest silver and have him be cookies and cream, either as an ice cream or a milkshake.
Well, there needs to be
Very,
more silver love. I feel like silver is very overlooked in terms of Sonic
Agreed.
characters. The
yeah.
world needs. Okay, next is going to be a year of silver.
It better be.
Shadow
The
had
boy
his fun.
deserves his own
Give
game.
Silver his own year.
The boy
I
Yes,
deserves
give him
his
his
own
own
game.
game.
I'm crossing my fingers one day that we do.
Because it would be nice to actually have like an origin of his past, who his family was. Yeah, like everything. Heck, even something about like we don't know what he does in the future, like after like
Wouldn't
certain
family
events.
still be around? I always figured Silver was orphaned as a kid.
A lot of people still speculate it could be like Shadow and Amy's kid, but we don't know that for sure. The fact that he's the only living hedgehog that's still alive in 200 years in the future.
That we know of. I mean, there's the Archie comics.
Yeah, but remember, a lot of things change up. Like in the Archie comics, we see that, but in the IDW comics, we don't like. We still don't know anything about what's going on in the future.
Well, funny thing you should mention that because, as well as the Voldemort storyline, I am doing something else. I'm not going to give too much away, but I do want to look into Silver's past. His past in the future. That you know, how his life was like in the future and put a new spin on it.
Ooh.
That'll be good. Yeah, that's something we definitely need to know because there's still a lot about Silver we don't know about. Like aside from his powers, yeah, he's from the future, trying to change and save it and whatnot from what happens in the past
True.
due to
But
Sonic,
then again,
his
Chris,
friends.
you are talking to the guy who uh who made the bikini bottom drug war thing. So
Oh god.
be careful what you wish for. It's the monkey's paw.
Okay, I wish I didn't hear that part.
Oh.
But still, Sega, give the fans what they're wanting. Give the boys some love. Am I wrong?
All right. So here is my next question. What is your favorite Sonic game and why?
That would be Sonic Generations on the PC. Not the 3DS one, the PC one.
Mhm.
And by the looks of it, it might be Sonic X Shadow too. Excited for that. Generations just it's fun to play. It's fun to boost through. It has probably some of the best level design in Sonic, best soundtrack in Sonic. Story's a bit needs some rough around the edges, but it looks like Shadow Generations is gonna fix that. So I think my favorite Sonic game is Sonic Generations, and judging by how it's looking, I think that's going to change very soon.
Mm. Yeah, because I know I've heard that um, apparently the Shadow campaign story is supposed to connect to the main story some way, from what I've heard. Um,
That's exciting.
so yeah, you could say Sonic X Shadow Generations is kind of similar to Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I've seen that like I've seen like people bring that up, and I'm like, you could. It's like it could technically be very similar, but unlike the Bowser's Fury, it doesn't really connect to the main story of Super Mario 3D World. If anything, it's just like its own thing, and it's just like using the same mechanics as 3D World, but in a more
I am
open
very
space.
excited for Shadow Generations. Gonna be a day one stream.
Oh yeah, I know for sure that uh, I'm also super excited. Are you also excited for the 3 episode Dark Beginnings?
4 episode, and yes, I am excited for Dark Beginnings. I have a feeling we're getting it a lot sooner than we think. Call it intuition, call it wishful thinking, but I have a feeling it's coming sooner than later. Because they said fall, it's September, should be sometime around now. And the animation from what I've seen looks great. The voice acting, especially, sounds great. The new Maria, Stephanie, right?
Yeah, Stephanie.
She sounds amazing, and Kirk Thornton sounds the best he's ever had as Shadow, both in the game and in this animation. And there is a reason, and not many people agree with me with this, that I think that Kirk Thornton is the best Shadow voice actor. Not a lot of people agree with me with this, and I'm like, eh. But I feel like he really is, and I think this game is gonna really show a lot of people, like, this is what Kirk can do when he locks in.
Mhm.
Because you gotta remember, this is the guy who plays Askeladd in what was it called again? The thing about Vinland Saga.
Mm.
This is like a seasoned voice actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him at
Lucky.
it was like at Games Room. It's like this game store, and they have like this area where they invite voice actors to do meet and greets. And I actually got to meet him. Very, very, very cool guy. Like he's so
I want to meet
chill.
him.
I
I
had
want
to
to meet him.
I literally had to look up because he's tall. He's a tall dude.
Damn.
He's tall, but I'm just saying that because I'm short. I'm actually a really short person in reality. So
Hey, don't worry. 5'6" person here. You're fine.
so I was just like, I didn't realize he was that tall, but like, yeah, I got a photo with him, and yeah, like,
I would love to meet Kirk Thornton one day. He seems super chill. He seems like a cool uncle.
yeah,
That's the kind of vibe I get from him.
yeah.
The closest thing to being a shadow actor was, just before I got on this call with you guys, I met Ryan Drummond, who voices Sonic in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 and Heroes, and also did 3 lines of dialogue for Shadow because Sega didn't want to get David Humphrey back for like 3 lines.
Oh,
His words, not mine.
ah, interesting.
Just don't tell anyone I said that.
No.
Yeah, and I guess the closest thing to being an actual Shadow voice actor is gonna happen in like October, where I'm going to New York Comic Con and Jason Griffith's gonna be there. It's not Kirk, but he's cool.
Mhm. Yeah. Nice. All right, Chris, do you have another question?
Let's see. Uh, Honestly, in regards to like the official Sonic VAs, aside from the one that we saw you get to meet, is there one that you've really been wanting to meet? One that inspired,
I
even like
just
inspired you?
answered that question.
Sorry. Right now, I'm trying to think of
Kirk
questions. I
Thornton.
can't think.
But
Like other ones
there's more.
besides
Don't
Kirk
worry.
Thornton.
There's more.
That's well, I guess aside from Kirk Thornton.
I am meeting Jason in October, so that's a big one. I love his Sonic and Jet. I like his Shadow.
He still got it.
Yeah, and I think the one that I love the most that I want to meet is any Silver the Hedgehog voice actor.
Besides Pete.
And I kind of met Pete. It was during a Sonic Revolution call, but he didn't call upon me. But I kind of did. But I want to actually meet them face to face, like whether it's Pete Capella, Quentin Flynn, or Bryce Papenbrook.
That'd be a day.
Like, cause Silver is my favorite character, and if I met at least one of his voice actors, I would be a happy man.
Nice. Yeah, I met 2 of Silver's VAs, Pete
Nice.
and Bryce. And I met Bryce last year at San Diego Comic Con because I love him as Adrian Cat Noir from Miraculous. So I technically
Right, Cat Noir.
yeah, so I technically met 2 Silver VAs. If anything, but super nice guy. And when I actually got a photo with him, he's like, "Do you want to do the claws out pose?" So we actually did the claws out and do like cat claws and stuff. It's really great. um, but yeah, he was like the only one out of the Miraculous main cast I haven't met. Like I met Christina, I met Mela, I met Keith.
Right, Vector.
Yeah, and I met Max. So I met the 4 of them, and
I met Max too.
yeah,
He's cool.
Yeah, Max Millman, great guy. And so, but any other voice actors other than the Silver VAs you mentioned, or
In terms of Sonic or in general?
in general?
Okay, I already met Charles Martinet and Peter Cullen, so I am
Lucky.
good with those. But if I have to pick one that I really want to meet, Brett Iwan. if you don't know who he is the voice of Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah.
That is the next voice actor bucket list I want to get done with. Because it's Mickey Mouse. He's been a staple of my childhood since like birth, and meeting him would be awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
And Matt Mercer.
Oh, nice, Matthew Mercer. Nice.
Have you met him?
No, not yet. I do love him. Like, I do love him as Vincent Valentine because, oh my gosh, when I heard his voice performance in FS7,
Ganondorf.
I was like, oh my gosh, that dude.
Yes, Ganondorf, Espio, Jotaro. He's super talented, and I want to meet him one day.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
plus he's hot.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, that's great. All right, let me see. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you. Is there any specific dialect you would like to learn?
Dialect. Definitely a lot more European dialects. Like I can do a semi-decent Russian, a semi-decent, British, all that sort of stuff. But I want to dive more into specifics, like Cockney and Australian. I want to dive more into specific areas of Europe.
Interesting. I love asking this question because a lot of people, like, I think some people don't realize if you get into voice acting, you never know what type of role that you might get casted in. And then it's like, oh no, I don't know this dialect. And learning dialects is very important because I know Roger Craig Smith actually, I think when he did like a Q&A, like he literally answered one of I forgot what the question was, but he actually admitted that when he was doing recording lines as Ezio Auditore, like he actually had like a vocal coach right there or something, like a dialect coach
Having
on
a coach is really helpful.
and he didn't really know how to pronounce any of the words because it's a specific dialect you have to say the words. And
I can sort of do a Spanish one, but I do want to just iron out things more so it doesn't feel like I'm doing a bad imitation.
Yeah, and I know with Roger, he tried his best, but the dialect coach actually told this is how you actually say it, and it's like so. So that's why I like asking this question because you just never know what type of roles. It might not always just be regular English.
Yeah.
And you might.
Yeah, that reminds me. Have you ever played Skyrim?
I've heard of it, but is there like specific dialects characters?
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but it's kind of like they talk like this whenever they're speaking.
Oh.
You've come to hear the word of Talos. They have this really rich European. I can't really pinpoint when it is, but it's like this perfect for that era and perfect for those characters in that game. So I think really listening to that really helps a lot.
Nice. Very cool. All right, Chris, do you have another question?
To be honest, I have no more questions. Most of the questions we've asked has already been answered.
Okay, I got you. All right, here's my next question for you. Which Disney songs would fit Omega and why? I'm very curious what your answer for this is.
Ooh, that's a hard question. Disney songs that will fit Omega. That's hard. He's not really a musically talented guy, and Disney song describes a murderous robot machine. Hmm.
Or you can think of other characters you voice in Sonic, other than Omega.
Okay. Okay. Let me think. There's one that I know fits Silver to a T, but I'm trying to remember what it was. What was it again? Was it from Brother Bear?
Can you name the song?
Okay, maybe not the Brother Bear one, but it's hard for me to really think and nail down. I need to think of one good one. Oh, I think I got one. Silver, go the distance.
Ooh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
And as for Omega, Gaston.
Oh my gosh. Just
I think I might know
imagine.
what I'm doing for that Sonic singing thing in Revo.
It's like, oh my gosh. I would totally laugh how Omega would sing the song Gaston.
That wasn't what I was planning. I was planning like a more sad or emotional song for Omega, but if it had to be a Disney song, it would be Gaston.
I'm very curious. Um, is it because like what makes you think it fits Omega? I'm very curious from your perspective.
It's just Gaston talking about how awesome he is. Omega would be the kind of guy. Omega's the kind of guy who would gloat about himself every day.
That's
I mean, he
true.
introduces himself as the most powerful robot to anyone he meets, so he has a bit of a huge ego.
Yeah, that's true. Like you can definitely tell that Shadow and Omega are like two peas in a pod. Shadow always likes to gloat about himself too, being the ultimate life form. It's like,
Oh, I think I know of a perfect Disney song for Shadow now.
ooh, I'm
When
very curious.
Somebody Loved Me from Toy Story 2.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, that emotional song. I know that song. That part hurt when I watched it. It was like, no. I rem- I still cry when I watch that sequence in Toy Story 2.
Oh, you too? I have to turn away to stop myself from crying.
Like it's just so very emotional because it's like it gives you a better perspective of why Jesse is kind of like hesitant, to go with Woody,
Mm-hmm.
to back to Andy because it's like she literally got abandoned by her previous owner and she's like, what if he ends up doing the same thing, you know? And like, but yeah, that song still makes me emotional every time I watch it. I'm like, no, I don't want to watch this sad moment. It's like I won't be able to hold back my tears. Ooh, but very interesting. I feel that song fits Shadow a lot, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
like he literally lost someone that was like a sister to him, pretty much,
Exactly.
and it's like, like Shadow's like, who am I fighting for now? Like
Right.
he's got this emotional,
What his
baggage.
point is. Well, what's the point of his mission if he has
Mm-hmm.
no one else to fight for?
Mm-hmm. So that's a very interesting song choice. I know like I know other people would say a different song that would, but when she loved me, yeah, that's a very great song choice because that's literally like that's like an emotional baggage song when you think about it. You see just through the sequence, of her previous owner going from like
Right.
a little girl and then she's like growing up and then she's no longer into toys, she's into makeup, what teenage girls are into. And then, that moment where she where she just puts her in a box and then leaves her at like I guess a truck, and then you just see Jesse looking out. That oh my gosh, that part still hurts, if
Mm,
anything.
that's painful.
Hmm. So it definitely fits Shadow. I can definitely see why you chose that. Why it fits Shadow. All right. So here is my next question. Which other Sonic media are your favorites other than the Sonic games? It can be like the actual official animations.
Okay, let me answer that question for you. That would be the comics. I
Ooh.
love how the comics are expanding more upon characters that normally don't get expanded upon in the games. Like it expands more on the chaotix and their dynamic and their relationships more than the games ever did. And it
Mm-hmm.
expands more on Silver and what he's like more as a person and expands him and Blaze's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I like how in the Archie comics they have this whole issue with Team Dark going after Shadow's evil brother. And I thought, it really explores characters in ways the games couldn't, because with the games, you're mostly focused on one person seeing the world through one set of eyes. Unless you're Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Adventure 1, you're seeing it from like five different people. But
Mm-hmm.
all in all, you don't really get to know what they're like when they're not going on big adventures and how
Mm-hmm.
they feel about other people. So I like IDW for that. Plus, and Archie, and the art style is great too. Aside from that, I'll have to go with Sonic X.
Ooh.
I feel a lot of nostalgia for that show. It was, great to see Sonic in an anime. I hope Sonic gets to show up in another anime too, or at least another animated series that is good. Again, no shade. I know the last guy on was Devin. No shade.
um. Oh. But yeah, like Sonic X really holds a lot of nostalgia. It came around the time when they started, doing a lot more anime based on video game properties, you know, quote unquote, that still popular to this day, the Pokemon anime, you know,
Yeah,
um, that one was inspired off of the games. And I think it only became a lot popular because of the anime, you know, like, I'm pretty sure if they never released a Pokemon anime, most people wouldn't know what Pokemon is unless if you're a gamer. But because the
right.
anime kind of spreads that media where it's like, oh yeah, Pokemon, yeah, that anime where it has Ash Ketchum and his Pikachu, and right, and stuff. So yeah, I remember. Yeah, Sonic X came out around the time where they started doing more like animes based on video game properties. So I think that was like, it's very nostalgic. I think it has like, I would have
I'd
to
love to see a
say,
return to that sort of Sonic series, Sonic anime or animated series. Well written. It could be original or based off a game, and with the current voice cast, that would be amazing.
mm-hmm, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm very curious. Like, do you do you prefer more of like your what you're looking for in a Sonic TV show, like animated show? You're looking more for story driven because that's what we've been
Yes,
exposed to.
story driven.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know like I would have to say probably like two of the Sonic TV animated TV shows are like comedy, which I get. They want to explore different avenues, which is understandable.
It can be
um,
funny, but still be story driven.
yeah, I think they just haven't found that balance as of yet. You know, um,
They tried with Prime,
yeah,
and Prime turned out not my favorite.
that's okay. And but but yeah, I do agree the comics do expand on the characters. It you could say the comic medium is kind of like a sitcom, like you see their daily occurrence, what
Right.
they're not doing in the games, The sitcom,
And
we
and with
spend.
that knowledge of what you're doing, of what they're not doing when they're in the games, really makes them stand out more when they're in the games.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a better feel for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, because I know for I think it was probably like the 2010 era, we didn't really get much character development of the other characters.
Right.
It was mostly just mainly focused on Sonic. Um
And I guess Tails and Eggman, but
yeah. um but at least the comics kind of gives us that perspective, like, oh, okay, so this issue is about, like, say for example, this one's about Team Dark, or this one's about the Chaotix. Nice, and we get to spend time with them while we're like, okay, so this is their motivation, this is what they do, you know, um, and everything.
indeed.
And and I have to say, I think Frontiers is in the right direction, because at least, like, we get to spend more time with Tails, Knuckles, and Amy.
Right.
You
And
know,
you don't really get a lot of Amy, especially back in the 2010s. So it was nice to see Amy again.
hmm like, if you see all the different interactions that Sonic does with the other three, because the first island's mostly with Amy, you see their
And
interactions.
yeah,
You
the
know,
Knuckles and Tails, and if you're playing the DLC, Eggman.
hmm yeah, and you spend more time with these characters. You're kind of like, okay. um, and and everything. So I think Frontiers is, like, in the right direction,
I
because
feel like we're gonna get more of that with Shadow Generations, because if you saw the trailer, you can see Omega for a split second in the overworld.
oh yeah, I remember people were mentioning that. I was trying to pause it at the right time. I'm like, how do people get this? I was trying to get to that in the trailer. Like, where?
Mom,
Like,
come pick me up. I'm scared.
I'm very curious to see um what's Omega's role in this. You know,
Same. He wasn't in the original Generations.
yeah. So I'm very curious. Because I know the only one of Team Dark that was at Sonic's birthday was Rouge. So it's like,
Why would Sonic not invite Shadow to his birthday?
mm,
Or maybe
I
he did and Shadow turned it down.
yeah, I'm thinking that could probably be it. Because Shadow, um, Shadow's usually not the type to, if it's
Go
regarding
to
Sonic,
parties?
yeah.
Especially not Sonic's birthday. Not the number one guy he hates.
But it's
But
very
why didn't he invite Silver? He invited Blaze to his birthday, but why not Silver? He was just dragged into white space.
yeah. I'm hoping we get some clear answer, about that. Yeah, I always wondered about that too. I was like, okay, we see Silver as like a boss, right? In Sonic Generations. Then you're like, wait, how come he was never at the birthday party? I thought he and Sonic were on good terms or something. um, yeah, Shadow, it's like, I would say the only exception he would have made was with Amy, because if you played Murder of Sonic, he did go to Amy's
Right.
birthday, so
I think Amy's special for Shadow because of Sonic Adventure 2. But
yeah,
not Sonic. Screw him. And she
yeah.
still didn't invite Silver, but she invited Blaze. I guess it
I
goes to show you what kind of friends they are.
yeah. All right. So here's my next question. What is your favorite non-Sonic game?
Super Mario Galaxy.
Hey, let's
That is
go.
my favorite video game of all time. It's like, as I said in the beginning of this, I am a diehard Mario fan. I was a Mario fan before I was a Sonic fan. And Super Mario Galaxy is my favorite Mario game and my favorite game of all time. Like, you have this massive planets and beautiful hub world, amazing music, like Star Wars John Williams quality music, and it looks great. Even on the Wii, it looks great. and it's just fun to play. It's oozing with so much ideas and so much charm and creativity. And it doesn't need like an overbearing plot or like AAA level movie graphics or a battle pass to be good. It's just a fun adventure, and I highly recommend it to anyone that has access to it. Whether you find it at your local mom and pop thrift shop, or if Nintendo ever remakes it again, or if there's a Super Mario Galaxy 3, which I'm hoping for, then I highly recommend trying Mario Galaxy. It's fantastic and my favorite game ever. Sorry about the tangent.
Oh no, it's all good.
You're good.
Nice. Yeah. That's really cool that you love Mario Galaxy. I know it's like critically acclaimed and it really speaks for itself too. All right, Chris, do you have any other questions?
Hmm. I guess this one, right? Yeah. So, is there one big project that you've been really, really been wanting to actually, get off the ground aside from the, one that you're currently working on?
Aside from Paper Mario: The Rise of Voldemort,
Yeah.
that's a good question. There is one. I can't really speak much about what it is because it is, spoiler territory. It's
Understandable.
the sequel to Rise of Voldemort, basically.
Ah, yeah.
And I
Understandable.
have like, I'll tell you a bit about it right now. Instead of focusing on Mario, it's focusing on Sonic.
Ooh.
Instead
Ooh.
of crossing over with Voldemort, it's crossing over with. Am I allowed to say it, or is it spoilery?
That's up to you. It's your project.
It's crossing over with it's Sonic X Disney. I'll just say that Sonic X Disney project,
Ooh.
Ooh.
and
That's something nobody's
I'm
ever tried doing.
yeah, no one's done it before. When I feel like Sonic would fit very well in a Disney film. In fact, he has shown up in a Disney film twice,
That is
Mhm.
true.
and I
Wreck-It
feel like if
Ralph.
anyone's good, yeah, I feel like why not? We've done the Sonic storybook, so Sonic and Fairy Tales fit well, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to make a follow up that's Sonic and Disney. I'm not going to reveal too much about the plot line, but because it's still work in progress, and I don't want to give too much away. But it's big, and I want it to be Sonic and Silver in Disney because Silver needs his time in the spotlight. He needs the love. He needs a good role that isn't just a side character. And I'm really happy with how I'm handling everything with that, and I cannot wait to show it all to you. It's gonna be
Ooh.
in a while. It'll take a while because I still got Voldemort to go. I already have everything written for Voldemort, and I'm currently in the process of editing it and casting for the last batch. But after that's done, I'm gonna start working on the Sonic and Disney project.
Ooh. Nice. Ooh, okay. Here's my next question for you. Do you have any favorite Sonic content creators you would like to collaborate with in the future and why?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, some of them I collaborate with, not knowing how big they are. For example, EMZ I've collaborated with before. Never realized how big her following is. I collab with Unitato. I didn't know she was that big too. And I've worked together with Boostifier. If you don't know him, he's a Sonic voice actor and he does like stop motion stuff. He was really cool.
He's
But
worked with me.
and in terms of people that I want to collaborate with, um, Eddie Jones seems like a nice option. Wouldn't mind being a guest voice in the next Sonic and Tails R. That would be a
Ooh.
nice option. And definitely want to do some stuff with what Dubus Goobus. I know we do. I know we're both in Sonic Paradox and Sonic Shorts. So yeah, I already hit the jackpot in terms of Sonic content creators with Sonic Shorts.
Mm.
But individual people, it's hard for me to say. I guess whoever wants me can have me. I know
Mm.
there's some that I do not want to collaborate with, but I'm not going to talk about those.
have another question?
I unfortunately do not.
That's okay. Let's see. Probably this should probably be the last question.
Awesome.
What are your long-term goals and aspirations within the voice acting industry?
My long term goals in the voice acting industry is to, well, play roles that leave a lasting impact on people for sure, but in terms of, like, getting larger, book a job in a really good video game, like a big, high budget one. Maybe a Genshin Impact thing, maybe an anime thing, but in terms of long term goals, find a way to make a living out of this.
Mm.
Whoever hires me. I'm not complaining. I love this job, and I want to find a way to make this sustainable.
Mm. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, because I know some voice actors do like they do other things other than voice acting because it is hard to sustain it from what I've heard, to
Mm-hmm.
be a voice actor. And I know some of them have mentioned you have to have like something that helps you pay your bills. From what I've heard, I'm like, oh, okay. It's very insightful, you know, and it makes a whole lot of sense now where it's like, oh, okay. Because I've seen like some voice actors I follow, they do side things other than voice acting.
Exactly. Like I'm working in a finance place, and that's helping keep money in.
Yeah, I work for
Mm-hmm.
Fry's. Yeah, food store, so I know what it means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's yeah, because it is hard to just do voice acting as a full-on job because sometimes you might not be getting any work in voiceover work and you have to have something to at least pay your bills, pay your dues, you know, um and everything.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's really great, that you're like, yeah, it's like I need to actually have a job that pays something so that way I can continue to do and pursue voice acting. Because voice acting, as I said, sometimes you might not get any work weeks or months or something, and then you have to like, what else can I do to at least be able to have, some form of sustainability? And I think you're doing a pretty good job. At least you have a job that actually, that
Yeah.
helps you pay your dues. And then while
Here's
you,
hoping.
mm-hmm,
Hoping it sticks.
yeah. So unfortunately, I will have to end this live stream, but I want to thank you, Jsaking, for for doing this Q&A. It was really great to learn more about
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having me on board.
Yeah, I always enjoy doing these Q&As with people. It's learning about how they got into what they love doing. Always such a great um great thing to learn about. It's always very insightful for me. And of course, I want to thank my co-host Chris for taking Naze's place as my co-host.
No
Um,
problem.
yeah, so I want to thank you, Chris, for that. Like, it was just very last minute, but things like that happen. So, um, but yeah, stay tuned, everyone, as I do have a live stream tomorrow for the sixth episode of the Lucky Charm podcast, which make sure you tune in because I'm joined by Kevin and of course G, aka the Cartoon Hotspot, as we will be discussing the season 5 episodes of Miraculous Ladybug. So please be sure you tune in for that. We're gonna be
Indeed.
laying it all there for the for the season 5 episodes. And stay tuned for more upcoming live streams coming up soon. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to this Q&A. So this is Leah signing off. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Take care.